Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to Your Calendars franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we had the draft and re-sign stage, and we basically tried to maintain most of our roster as much as possible. Obviously, we did go through a little bit of change. We had to let go of guys like Korolyuk and our former backup in Menard, but we don't really have a lot of cap space, which is unfortunate, and we do still have a couple RFAs that are holding out, so we are probably going to be making some trades just basically to free up cap space, and also maybe send a message to this group that they need to win a Stanley Cup soon, because we still haven't gotten that yet, despite having so many good players on this roster. So there's a chance that we will be trading away Cialfito in this episode. He is a pending UFA, so hopefully if we do trade him, we could at least get a decent return for him. The only reason why we would trade him is because he's pending UFA, and also because we kind of need to send a message with this roster a little bit. And he's also one of the highest cap hit players that's not on a no movement clause, so likely he gets flipped in this episode. There's also a good chance that Leahy gets dealt as well, because he's making $5.8 million as like a third line center. So we will try and flip him away likely. And then there's also a chance that we might flip away some other guys as well, but I'm not too sure exactly if we will or not. It depends really on if people will waive their clauses or not. Like, there is a chance we could move out somebody with a no movement clause, but I'd have to get them waived first, which might be kind of tough considering how good this team's been in the regular season, and also we've been going far in the playoffs, but we haven't been able to find a way to win that Stanley Cup. So some of these guys might not want to waive their no movement clause just because this team's actually been a pretty competitive roster. So we'll see if we're able to do any of that type of thing. But yeah, this is probably one of the longest franchise modes I've had where I've never won a Stanley Cup, and like, it's actually kind of surprising that we haven't been able to win a cup yet with how good this roster is. A lot of the guys are getting closer to their 30s. Like, we're still kind of a young team when you think about it, because Makinen is one of the oldest forwards on the team, but then you have a bunch of guys that are in their 30s already. So you can see, if we don't win a Stanley Cup soon, that basically our window of opportunity might start to close on us a little bit. So we are going to try and free up some cap space in this episode and bring in some new faces to maybe give ourselves a better chance to have a better run this upcoming season. So with that said, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll see what kind of moves we can make, because I honestly don't have a plan yet of who I want to trade and what for. So we'll see if we're able to work out some good deals and reconfigure this team a little bit. So the first and only comment is from Sarataku, says, decent draft overall. Your first few picks should eventually make it to the NHL in the final couple seasons. Cialfito and Leahy should be the two players target for trading. I would also see if Bjorkstrand would waive his no movement clause, because he has been rather disappointing these past few seasons. And yeah, I agree with that. So the Cialfito and Leahy probably for sure get dealt in this episode. Bjorkstrand's one guy that we'd have to try and get him to waive that clause, which I honestly don't know if he would waive that clause. I mean, he's not getting paid the most money in the world, $10.15 million, but he is signed for still 5 more seasons of this, which is a little bit of a risk with the cap space and all that stuff. He hasn't necessarily been the best player in the world since like this point. When he had 78 points, I thought he was going to become a really good player, but you could see like after his 74-point season, he's been battling injuries a little bit, like 2 of the last 3 years, and his point production hasn't been as good. He's also missed some playoff games too. Hasn't been the best player in the playoffs, but he's been solid. So we'll see if we end up trading away him or not. Depends if he wants to be moved or not. But aside from that, we definitely should be looking into moving Cialfito and Leahy, as we mentioned. So with that said, I think we'll look into probably trading them first, so we have the cap space to bring in a new third-line center. Likely, I might look into bringing in Korolyuk again, who we just let go of in last episode as our third-line center, just because he's younger option than Leahy. But it depends on what he's asking for on the free agent market, because right now we likely have Makinen as our top-line center. If we move Bjorkstrand, Giordano probably becomes our second-line center, and then we'd have to find two bottom 6 centers for this team, because everybody on our roster does not take faceoffs except for those guys. So we probably would look for 2 more centers if we do move on from Bjorkstrand. And then, like I said, if we move away from Cialfito, we don't really need to find a replacement for him, because Ragnarsson is basically just as good. Kazanov could jump up through the season. Biggers should be a higher up in the lineup, Mishenko. So I just don't think we need any more left wingers or wingers in general almost. So the thing that we're going to need mostly this offseason is going to be centers for the rosters. So let's go first and foremost and talk to Bjorkstrand about his clause and see if we could get him to waive. I honestly don't think he's going to waive, but if he does waive, that would be kind of helpful for our team just to help us free up some more cap space and all that. But let's go ahead and talk to him and see what he thinks about waiving his clause. Let's chat out about your clause and your option. We would like you to waive your clause so you could trade you. Very risky. And in the clause option, can I get him just to change his clause or what? What happens when I go this? Okay. We could ask him for a specific amount of team. We could ask him for a decent amount of teams that he'd be willing to get dealt to. I don't want to get him to maybe outright waive. If he gives me a list of 3 teams, 3 more teams, that would be good. It says very convincing, so I don't know if he still will be able to. Clause definition, player is not eligible to be traded. I don't know why it's mean, but yeah, it says very convincing on that one, so maybe we'll try and get him to give us 3 teams that he'd be willing to go to. So let's click on this one, see if he gives me a list. And he will. He says, honestly, I'm not feeling great here, and I've been thinking about other options. I've made up my mind, and I'll submit my list immediately. So he actually agrees that he's not been feeling that great here, which I don't know if it's because of the lack of success in the playoffs or something like that, but Bjorkstrand has given us a list, so we'll get to see what 3 teams we could trade him away to, which is good. So that's kind of nice that he's willing to do that for us. Almost makes me want to hold on to Cialfito, but I don't know if I should still. We might look into keeping Cialfito if we can move on from Bjorkstrand, but I'm not sure. So let's go to proposed trade now and just see what teams have he could go to, because I'm kind of curious on that. So now it's changed to no movement / modified, which is perfect. So what 3 teams are you willing to go to? There, Bjorkstrand. LA, Nashville, and Pittsburgh. It's not a huge list, but it is at least some teams. So LA, Nashville, and Pittsburgh, huh? What do all those teams have that maybe we could utilize? Like, I don't feel like I want to trade for players, really, almost in a sense. But LA, what do they got on the block? Like, let's just sort by... Actually, let's look at centers maybe, because maybe we could find a third-line center for our team. Somebody like this Stewart guy would be good, but he's making $5 million, and we're trying to shed some cap space a bit. So I don't know about Stewart. Connor is a third-line center. He's also a sniper. They don't really have good center depth in LA. So I could see why he wants to go there, maybe just because he wants to become the number 1 guy. Maybe he wants to go play with Jääskeläinen. That's actually an interesting thing. I never even thought of that. Try to think if there's anybody I would bring in here. Damn, $11 million for an 83 at 24? What the hell? Why is this guy getting paid so much money? Interesting, okay. I'm not seeing really too much from LA, to be honest. Thoreau. Is there anybody on an expiring deal that would be good? Because maybe that would be an interesting thing for us. Hacker Ryan on a 1-year deal. We don't need left wingers. Mira's a 69. Oban's an 80 at 25, another left winger. I don't really need left wingers, so I don't think we will probably trade with the Kings. Yeah, it might have to be with those other 2 teams. Defensively, we don't really need another defenseman, so I don't think that's everything we need. We don't need another goaltender. Yeah, oh wow, Schultz is up to 77, but he's still in the AHL. That's unfortunate. I was hoping he'd get some playing time with the Kings at some point. But yeah, I guess the Kings are not going to work for Bjorkstrand. The other teams were Nashville and Pittsburgh. So does Nashville have anything interesting? They are kind of close to the cap, so we'd have to bring in a player that's making a good chunk of money from them, which is not really what we're looking for when we're trying to offload some money. Ashton as a third-line center might not be bad. Cole Ashton, third-line checking forward. He's a power forward, good face-offs, decent production. He's only played a little bit in the playoffs before in his career. That's not bad. That's not bad. I do not mind the looks of Ashton. If we brought in Ashton from Nashville as that third-line center spot and gave them Bjorkstrand, of course, they'd be over the salary cap by $6 million. God damn, man. I don't want to retain on Bjorkstrand, so trading him to Nashville might be impossible because of that. Ovechkin as a prospect. We would need a fourth line center as well this season. We could take in Ovechkin, who's also making a good chunk of money. Sniper. Like, I don't really want to take in players, but we need to somehow get this to being close to cap compliant. So, did I have anything else I would actually need on our roster? Like a depth forward or something? Is there anybody that's making a lot of money that's a low overall? That's like maybe in the AHL or something like that? Like if we go to money, let's see, is there anybody that's a low overall? Like a 76? 2 years left, I don't want that. If that was 1 year left, maybe that would be the type of thing to take on for a year. There is a depth defenseman in Fitzgerald. Curtis Fitzgerald. I mean, I don't mind having a depth defenseman, so we could just do that. That doesn't make it cap compliant still, it says. Which to me, it looks like it is cap compliant, though. What do you mean that they'd be over the salary cap? Because we're taking back how much money right now at the moment? Man, this episode might end up being a long episode because we're just trying to figure out these negotiations. So, buckle in if you like trade episodes, because this might be one of those type of episodes. Let's see. I'm trying to see how much cap we're bringing in exactly in terms of money. So, let's see. 12.9. We're bringing in 9.73. So, we need another guy that's making a little bit more than 1.29 on this deal. Is there anybody better than that defenseman that might work? Let's sort by cap hit again. 1.29. I mean, there is this Hamilton guy. That's actually a little bit better. So we'll take Hamilton instead of Fitzgerald. And that would make it cap compliant. On top of that, can we get anything? I mean, the trade values are actually relatively close. By doing this deal, though, we get ourselves a replacement for a third line center, which is Leahy. We get a replacement for a fourth line center. We get ourselves a depth defenseman. And then Bjorkstrand comes out of the lineup, which is good. So I think this is actually not a bad deal so far to offload at least that salary from our guy in Bjorkstrand. Can I throw in like a third round pick this? I feel like I could get maybe higher than a third rounder, maybe like a second rounder for next year. Okay, this might work. I think this is a good move. I don't know if it's going to necessarily pay off the way I'm hoping to. I didn't really want to take back a lot of roster players when moving Bjorkstrand, but the thing with moving Bjorkstrand out is it will free up more roster space a little bit, so we could still bring in some other stuff. Ashton, like I said, Ovechkin, those are going to be two bottom six centers, which means moving on from Leahy, we won't have to actually sign ourselves a free agent replacement. Hamilton, it would come in as a depth defenseman probably for this team, because at the moment, do we have a depth defenseman? I don't remember. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We did need a seventh in a way, because Erzberg, I don't know if he's going to be ready yet, but we could run Erzberg in the AHL for one more year, so I think this is a good move for the team. I don't think it's a bad option. I know it's not necessarily the craziest trade in the world. Now, the good thing about Ovechkin, I think he's a pending RFA still at the end of the year, based on the fact he's only 24 years old. I don't like that he's a sniper, because a fourth line sniper doesn't seem good to me, but maybe we could use him as a right winger as well. So that might not be a bad idea. And then Ashton as a third line center, I think that's like not a bad player to bring in. He's also only 25, so I think this is not a bad deal for us to do. So let's see if it goes through. It probably will. It probably will. So Bjorkstrand to the Nashville Predators for Ashton, Ovechkin, Hamilton, and a second round pick. Will this go through? And the answer is yes, it will. So we don't really free up too much cap by doing that, but we just made a pretty big blockbuster deal. And now we have ourselves a depth defenseman that's just making a lot of money. That's the only reason why we brought in that guy. And we also now have two new centers. So now if we go to centers, you can see this is where Leahy's now on the chopping block. It would be Mackin and Giordano in the top six. Leahy gets dealt in, and we have these two guys as centers. Or maybe we use, like I said, Ovechkin as a right winger, because he might complain a bit about ice time or something like that. So we'll see with that. But let's get rid of Leahy, get rid of his $5.8 million in cap space. We did save some cap space from that trade, which is a good thing, because we are going to need still some more cap space. So let's try and move on from Leahy now. We'll probably just take back picks for him, And same goes with Cialfido, maybe too. Cialfido, maybe we could trade for another player, but I'm not too sure. Guys, what is our top 6 looking like potentially now for the season ahead? We have Makinen, Karain, Giordano, Cialfido, Ragnarsson, and nobody else. Yeah, technically, moving on from Bjorkstrand makes me not want to get rid of Cialfido yet. I'm trying to think if I should still move on from him. Because Zanov could jump up to being a guy in our top 6 this season, too. I'm trying to think. I know I do want to trade Leahy for sure, so let's get rid of Leahy. Let's see what teams are interested in Leahy, or what teams are Leahy interested in, I should say. Chicago, Dallas, LA, Nashville as well, Penguins, Blues, Utah, and the Capitals. Let's go take a look at Pittsburgh, I guess, first and foremost. Actually, Pittsburgh's in the East, so let's go to St. Louis, because I prefer to trade him to a Western Conference team, if anything. So, let's see. What could we get for Leahy? We don't really need too much. We could look for another top 6 player, maybe, for this team, if we do a trade like this. They do also want Cialfido, but I don't know if I would trade them both players, unless there's somebody really good. So, let's actually add just both these guys to the deal for now. That's a good chunk of value. Do they have anything crazy good that would help us out in the top 6 right now? Let's see. The best is Gerber. He's an 89 at 23. They probably wouldn't want to part ways with him. Sadikov, 86 at 28, but he's making a lot of money. I'm trying to shed some cap space if possible. Dublowitz, 83 at 24, making $6 million bucks. He's a good playmaker as well. He's pretty much like a lesser version of Cialfido. But, yeah, I don't think there's really anybody here I would trade for in terms of actual roster players. So, let's take off Cialfido, because we probably just take back picks for Leahy. So, yeah, let's see what they got, maybe in terms of prospects as well. Let's see if there's anybody we could take on. Merritt's actually pretty solid. He's already an NHLer almost. But I don't know about him. Wow, we don't really need more defenders. Trying to think of what else I would take. Low lead Urquhart, 75 at 24. He's probably not going to make it. He's actually listed as a third-line scoring forward, but he's a 75, so he must have lost some morale. Left-wing sniper. That's kind of an intriguing player just to tack onto this deal, so let's tack this player onto the deal. He's got barely any value, so we might as well tack him into this deal, and maybe he could be a roster player for us this season. And then we will take in... I don't think I could get a first-round pick for Leahy, but maybe I can. No, that's not going to work for sure. What about a second-round pick? Maybe I'd have to add a later pick into this deal. So, Urquhart in the second. Is Urquhart actually going to fit our team, or do I need him or not? I just double check on this. So, if I look at our forwards... If we bring in Urquhart and he's listed as a third-line scoring forward, there's a good chance he could get third-line playing. Maybe not third-line. Yeah, he might not actually get that playing time. So I'm going to get rid of Urquhart, even though he's kind of intriguing because he's dropped off due to morale, I think. I don't think there's a way I could logistically slot that guy into our lineup. So with that said, I don't think a first-round pick would still work. So we might have to still just take a second-rounder. Alright, yeah, we're probably going to have to get a second rounder here for Leahy. Maybe I could tack on something else. I'm trying to look at these values and see how close they are. I wish they still had this like trade comparison thing that they used to have in like NHL 17. Because it would be nice to kind of compare to Steel a little bit. Yeah, I think this should be fine. So Leahy for a second rounder straight up. We get rid of his contract, which will be nice. Let's see if it works. Boom. And that's accepted. So Leahy's off to St. Louis, another player that I was kind of hard to part ways with, but it frees up cap space. We're down to $111 million, which is good. The good thing is we already have a replacement for him because of the first deal we made. So now if we look at our forwards here, what do we need as well? Because Cialfido, I kind of maybe want to hold on to now in a way, but trying to think if that's still a good move or not. Because hypothetically right now, first line is going to be Makinen, Karain, and Ragnarsson. I think I got to hold on to Cialfido now, even though he's a pending UFA. I was not planning on to hold on to him, but I might have to still. Just because we moved on from Bjorkstrand, I think that's made my decision a bit easier. Because, yeah, Makinen, Crane, and Cialfido or Ragnarsson is a top line. The other one would be on the second line, which are Dano and Kazanov. Third line would be Ashton, Mishenko, and Bigris. Ovechkin would probably be playing as a fourth line center next to maybe Savage and Dempsey. I know that's two snipers on the fourth line, which is not ideal. So, yeah, I think we don't really need too much. So, I don't think I'm going to trade away Cialfido, which might be a risk because he might ask for way too much money this upcoming offseason. But we did free up cap space, and we basically addressed some needs already. Like, we don't need to sign anything in free agency now, which is good. And like I said, having a new third-line center, of a new fourth-line center might be good. If we could get Ovechkin into a third or second-line role too, that might be fine too, because this guy being a sniper does actually have some good shooting. Was a former 20th overall pick. He hasn't really lived up to those expectations yet, but I think we could maybe utilize this guy a little bit. So I think we're not going to make any trade with Cialfido, unless there's a fine trade option that's intriguing. But I don't think there's anybody I would want to trade him for, unless it was just a one-for-one deal, maybe. So maybe we could still look into it, just to see if there's a one-for-one deal out there. 2 second-round picks, not worth it. Yeah, that's not worth it. And then Comrie straight up as a prospect isn't bad, but I don't know if I really want to trade for prospects right now. Let me just take a look at what options there is that are kind of close to Cialfido. Like, if we actually look for a player search, if we go to find player and we look for a forward that is like 4 to 5 stars, and we want to up his age maybe to like 23 to 50, and we will say, can I change anything else here that it's important? Player role, let's go with like a first liner. Yeah, let's look for a first liner and just see if there's any deals that would work out for Cialfido if we did like a one-for-one. Obviously, we're not going to get a 96 overall plus guy, so we got to go down to like the 87s a bit, like Cialfido. So Michelli, I don't want to bring him back. Burkholz, not really. How good is Burkholz? He's only 23, so probably doesn't want to get dealt yet. He's a two-way. Don't really need more two-ways. Bonvi is a center, and Jaskalainen, no. Cialfido, there's our guy. And there's not really too much. Trade value is actually, let's sort this by trade value so I can kind of see how close Cialfido's value is to some of these dudes. So Cialfido, where are you on the list of value? There you are. So your value is pretty close to somebody like Walters, center right winger. Joe Walters, 25 years old. He is a playmaker as well. What's his contract looking like? It's a little bit too much money long term. I don't think I would do a one-for-one with him. It's funny how many former players are here, like Michelli, Eriksson, Lucas Carlson, Sugihara, 85 at 31, making 9.1. Goddamn. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody. There's Leeson, another former player, of course. Lehman on the Sharks, 86 at 25, 2-year deal. What type of player is Lehman? A playmaker as well. Lehman's pretty good, but yeah, he's going to be a UFA in a few years. But I think we're going to just hold on to Cialfido at this rate. And we could still trade him maybe throughout the season if there's a better offer out there for a guy that's signed for maybe a couple years. But I think I like what's of our team now after those trades. So I don't think we need to sign anything in free agency now because of those deals. So I guess Coryell will go to a different team then because we've had ourselves our third line center. Aside from that, do we need any coaching staff? I think we did, right? I think we did. Let me actually go back and see our staff because I do not remember if we need a coach or not. Do we need a coach? Yes, we do. Associate and a goalie coach. That's right. All right. So associate, let's see if there's anybody with a really good fit here. I think there was, right? 51 in Ruchinski. Works good with Houghton, Tatar. We could always just bring him in. Sure, let's do it. Associate coach, and we'll sign you up here. Dallas is also interested, but we're going to give you a lot of money there, Ruchinski, to join our club. And then we also need, like I said, a goalie coach. We won't worry about the AHL coaches right now. So in terms of goalie coaches, is there anybody that's actually a goalie coach here? There's this guy. Damn, a B-rated goalie coach, potentially. So bring him in, and maybe that's what we need as well as just a good goalie coach. Even though Solovyov has been really good in the playoffs. So there we go. There's our coaching staff addressed. I don't remember if I needed any scouts. I don't. Okay, good. Perfect. So that's all we're going to really do this offseason is that deal, which honestly, I don't know if that Bjorkstrand deal is going to make us better or what. And like I said, I'm not... Oh, yeah, we still have Carlton and stuff that are RFAs. Let me just go to their contracts for a second here. I was thinking of maybe trading away Carlton because he might complain about his ice time if we don't trade him away. I almost forgot about him because he might complain considering he's listed as a top 4 defenseman, but he might be playing top 6 minutes. So if we go to... actually, let me take a look at the defensive core again here for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4 with Fisher. Hamilton might be the 7th, so we'll say 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Carlton's going to be literally listed as a top 4, maybe complaining, but I could still hold on to him and see if he actually complains. So let's go to the RFAs here. What are they asking for right now at this stage? Still a little too much, probably? Yeah, we'll wait on them still a little bit, see if we could get them signed. If we don't have the amount of cap space to sign them still, then we might still have to trade away from Seal Fido. But we'll see if any of them accept by the end of July. There's their goalie coach, so welcome aboard to Jakub Gudis. Thank you, Gudis. And we're still going to offer some trades. Did that other coach accept or no? Because I don't think I saw that he accepted from another team, right? He should have accepted by now. Did he accept? Because I cannot tell. And this sim engine's moving way too quick, and I cannot stop it. Please stop so I can go get a coach. Thank you. Because if that other coach went to a different team, that's kind of annoying. But let's see. Coaching staff. Did we get the associate? We did not. So I don't know why the sim engine wouldn't let me stop, but god damn it, now I have to look for somebody else. Let's see. 51 here. We'll take Klepiston. Sure. Klepis, you could be our associate coach. So annoying when the sim engine's either working too fast or too slow. So Klepis will bring you in as the associate. And we should be good in terms of our coaching staff. We're still waiting on those RFAs, though. Hopefully their asking prices come way down. The good thing is at least with, I think it's with Holmstrom, we have a little bit more leeway. I'm going to decline and edit our trading block, though, because I just don't want these offers. Because we're just getting thrown too many of them right now. And it's kind of annoying when you're trying to simulate and you just get an offer every single game almost. Or every single day, pretty much. So we might as well just get rid of everything off of our block and our surplus as well. So that way we don't get a single offer the rest of this offseason, because I think we're pretty much ready to go for next season. If we have too many people that are in roles that they shouldn't be, we might have to make some more deals at some point during the season, but I think we're pretty much done for moves in this episode, at least. So Klepis is on board, which is good. We're still waiting on our R phase. How close are they to actually accepting some money? Let's see. We have 11.445. If we go to our RFAs, Carlton, what are you wanting right now? Still 6 by 6. Oh my goodness, damn, that's a lot more money than I was anticipating. Holmstrom still wants $5 million bucks. I can probably talk him down at this point to, let's see. Probably could talk him down to around here, 4.5. Let's offer him that. And then we'll wait on Carlton still, because Carlton wants a long-term deal, which I'm not too sure if I want to give him a long-term deal. I might honestly have to flip him regardless, so let's see if we can get Holmstrom on board to accept his deal. Let's just continue to go to 23rd or something like that. So Holmstrom is accepted. That's good. We'll just wait and see if Carlton accepts anything here before we decide to go back to him again. Apparently not. So Carlton still seems to want long-term deal potentially. So yeah, we might still have to trade him, which is not exactly what I was hoping for, but we have a lot of guys listed as top 4s and above, so it does make sense if he moves on in a way. The good thing is we have still 6 defensemen if we move on from him. We could use one of these guys as a 7th. Actually, we could use Carlson as a 7th, maybe always, just to see how that works. That's not a bad option. But what is Carlton wanting now? Okay, only a 1-year deal. That's good. And he's still an RFA at the end of the year, too, which is good. So let's do a 1-year deal, 3.4. We'll hold on to him for now, but we might look to flip him if he starts to drop off due to morale as the season goes on. So let's continue to simulate here. Let's see if he'll accept, which he probably will. And he does. Perfect. All right, so everybody's on board for the upcoming season, which is good. We have a little bit of a new-looking team. It's not completely different, but we moved on from one of the core top guys in that top 6. And maybe that's what we needed to do, was just get rid of somebody in the top 6. And also Leahy. We can't forget about Leahy. Moving on from him might help us out a bit too. So let's get these lines set up for another season and see what we're working with here. But let's first go to roster moves and make sure everybody's in the right areas. So Solovyov and Komatov is the 1-2 punch. This is Solovyov's last year of his contract before he becomes a UFA. So is this the last year for Solovyov? I kind of hope it's not, but Komatov could push him out. And we've never seen Komatov in the NHL at this point, but he's played 2 years now in Bridgeport, and he's been pretty good during the regular season. Never played a playoff game, though, so we'll see what this guy's like this season. I don't expect good numbers right out of the gate, but if he could become what Solovyov is currently, that would be good. Solovyov is currently still an exact starter, so he actually could be still dropping off, which means he could be retiring relatively soon, which is kind of scary. AHL goalies, it's Nicholas and Vishnevsky. Nicholas is actually listed as a backup goaltender as a 78, so there's a chance that we might have to look into moving on from Solovyov after the season, which is kind of scary, but at the same time, Nicholas is a high elite goalie potential prospect, so we have actually some good goalies ready to make that jump. From a defensive standpoint, Tatar Houghton, Schaefer, Holmstrom, Carlson, Fisher, and Hamilton as the depth defenseman. That looks pretty good. Most people shouldn't complain about their ice time, except for Carlton. So if I get Carlton on like a top PK unit, he might be okay. He is a two-way defenseman though, right? Yeah. Maybe getting him some power play time would be okay too, but he doesn't have great offensive attributes other than his awareness. AHL, Erzberg's a 78, listed as a top 6. So that's something I did not want to see necessarily, but I'm glad I'm seeing it. There's a couple guys listed as depth defensemen as well, like Granato and Carlson. If we move on from Carlson, Erzberg could play on that top 6 pairing potentially. And then we would have actually guys in the right spot. So do we move on from Carlton and call up Erzberg at some point? Like, we could do it in the next episode. Like, I might simulate a little bit. Now, Erzberg's an offensive defenseman. He has been pretty good offensively in the AHL as of one season. But do we need another OFD in our defensive core when there's Holmstrom, who's already won, Houghton, who's won? I don't think so. So I honestly might have to think about moving on from Erzberg. Or maybe Holmstrom gets moved before his RFA status ends. Something like that. But Holmstrom's a right defenseman, so I'm not too sure exactly if Erzberg's really what I'm hoping for. But we do have other depth defenders. Like I said, I could call up Granato, but he's an OFD, same with Carlson. So I think Hamilton for now as a depth defenseman is probably the way we want to go with things. He's actually an OFD as well, which I didn't even realize. God damn it, man. We just keep on stacking up the OFDs for some weird reason. All right, forward perspective, let's just go forwards in general. We have Makinen, Karain, Giordano, Ragnarsson, Sealfield, Kazanov, Ashton, Mishenko, Bigris, Ovechkin, Dempsey, Ulanov, Savage, and we do need one more depth forward. I'm not going to use Nielsen as a depth forward. We might as well use Sprooks unless I want to sign another one. But we might as well use Sprooks for the time period just because he's not going to get much better. So let's do that. And let's just go best AHL lines for the time being. All right, so in terms of our lineup setup, what are we going to rock with this season? So Karain, Makinen, and Ragnarsson probably, or Sealfido. Who fits that top line better? It's going to be Sealfido, okay. So Sealfido on the top line with Makinen and Karain. Ragnarsson on the second line next to Giordano, and we'll go with Kazanov, I guess. Bigris is actually listed as a second line forward. I do like Bigris a little bit, but is it the right area to put him? Maybe, actually. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that, sure. Third line center is going to be Cole Ashton. Ovechkin could be still on that third line, but Mashenko should probably be in that spot, which means then Ovechkin has to be the fourth line center, which isn't ideal. We could give him some power play time, though. All right. I don't mind the looks of this team. It is definitely different than we've had in the past. Definitely not as strong on that left side anymore, unless we move some of these guys back over to that left side. But I think it's okay. Defensively, Houghton and Tatar, Schaefer, Holmstrom, Carlton, and Fisher. Goalies, Solovyov, Komatov. That looks good. Power play, let me see if the right guys are on the power play. Okay, that first unit looks fine. Ovechkin is on the second unit, so that's good, and he's also on the point, just like Alex Ovechkin, so that might be nice. Yeah, okay, that looks fine. Yeah, I think I'm okay with the guys on the power play right now. What about penalty kill, though? Let's see. We do want to get some more penalty kill time for Carlton, so let's get Carlton on the first unit, and we'll move Houghton back a little bit, just so Carlton doesn't complain about his ice time. So we'll move Houghton to the second unit, and then we will move Holmstrom to the third unit, something like that. I just don't want Carlton to start complaining. He might still regardless, but we got to make some sort of adjustments, right? There you go. That looks fine. And in terms of the forwards on these units, is there anybody that's not going to be getting a lot of time that should get more time? Maybe not. Let me take a look at power play line number 2 again. Is Kazanov on that unit? He isn't. I wouldn't take any of these guys off of it, though. It should be fine for now. Should be fine for now. AHL, is there anybody scratched that should not be scratched? No, there is not. This should be fine the way it is. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's split up the offensive defenseman a little bit here. Let's go with that. Boom. And then goalies, Nicholas and Vishnevsky. Perfect. All right, so our teams are set up. I think this team is good. I obviously don't think it's as good as it has been in the past, but that's just because we made ourselves a little bit weaker. We still have that great center depth, but the winger depth obviously is not as strong as it used to be. But guys like Mashenko should be fine to get some development. Bigris is getting a big chance. Kazanov is getting more of an opportunity now. Obviously, if Sealfido leaves in free agency, some of these guys will get even more of an opportunity to do some work. I feel like Mashenko could be on a power play unit too, but I don't know how I could get all these guys power play time. So there is that. We should be good. Let's take a look at our scheme fit with our current coach, see if it is still good like it has been the last number of years. And then we might start simulating a little bit in this episode. Jenks, 72%. That's still really good. That's still really good. Yeah, we're probably going to keep him as our head coach, I would assume. Let me actually demote him for a second. I just want to see how good McCollum is as a fit. McCollum is a 72 as well. Damn, McCollum's actually pretty good. And then if we demote McCollum and move Klepish, Klepish is a 66. So yeah, Klepish is going to be... We're going to move... Oh my goodness. We're going to move McCollum to our associate, Klepish down to the assistant, and Jenks will still be the head coach for now. Yeah, that looks good. And our goalie coach is nice and strong. I think that looks good. I think it looks good. All right, so I think we're going to start simulating a little bit in this episode, not too much, because I don't want to risk, obviously, morale and stuff to go down the tubes, but I do want to kind of see a little bit of how this team does in the season. What does Jalen think about our roster? He probably thinks we're good enough to compete for a cup still, right? Let's just do our preseason focus, and let's go with 5v5 focus, sure. And what about season goal? Let's see. He thinks we're good enough to compete for the cup again. So, is this the season where this team finally wins the cup after moving on from big players like Bjorkstrand and Leahy? I guess we'll find out in a few episodes, but let's simulate a little bit of the season and just see what this team's made of in terms of production. Now, we're still getting offers because we have a lot of good prospects still, but let's go through this preseason. We'll probably simulate like maybe 20 games, maybe more than that. Just kind of see how the team does to start off the year. We should be pretty dominant for the most part, but I just want to make sure that we made the right trades and we don't need to make any more trades to help with morale and all that. But yeah, this team should be really good. We have a good team fit. So if we don't win a Stanley Cup again this year, I don't really know what I need to do in terms of getting this team a cup. But hopefully we could get it done this season. So 6-1 in the preseason, pretty damn good, as you'd expect from a roster like this. Let's take a look at our player stats from that preseason just to see who was doing stuff. Ragnarsson had 9 points, damn. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a big year for Ragnarsson. Obviously, we paid him a lot of money in the offseason, but I think he's going to be really good, and I think he's just a perfect replacement pretty much in that top 6 fully for Bjorkstrand. Aside from that, looks like we're getting some other good production from big guys. Bigris had actually a really good preseason, 7 points in 7 games. He's only signed for 2 years, but I feel like Bigris playing in that top 6, he might break out this season just because he's getting a big opportunity to perform. So if he doesn't, obviously, I could move guys like Mashenko up higher, Kazanov, but for right now, Bigris deserves that opportunity because he's actually listed as a second-line forward despite being only an 81. All right, let's see what happens during the actual regular season. Well, like I said, probably simulate 20 or more games. Just kind of see how this team does. Obviously, if we go on a big losing streak, maybe we'll stop it earlier, but I expect this team to do really well again this year, even with the adjustments. Like now that we have a young backup goaltender, a couple of young pieces jumping into the lineup. Like, wait a second, I almost forgot about Dempsey. Is Dempsey in our lineup, or do I have to call him up from junior? I completely forgot about Dempsey. Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about Dempsey. I knew I was forgetting something. Let me go to roster moves for a second. Dempsey is not down there. Oh no. Did we actually let him go back to junior? Oh, he's right here. 79 overall. Where is he? Where is he? Did I scratch him? Because I don't remember scratching him even at all. Oh, I didn't even look at our depth options. God damn it, man. We need another depth forward. Nelson Dempsey has to be in the lineup, which means we'll take probably Ulanov out. Dempsey's a top prospect of ours, so we'll go with that. Savage, are you a depth forward? No, you're a fourth liner. Of course you are, because you're a grinder. Ulanov is probably a fourth liner. Yeah. I mean, I could take Savage out. Ah, man, that's going to make some people complain a bit. For right now, we'll just go with that. Yeah, I was almost forgetting all about Dempsey, which some of you might have forgot about Dempsey, not too sure. And how am I supposed to get Dempsey power play time too with this team? Because Ovechkin probably should be in that spot. I guess for now we won't give Dempsey power play time, but maybe we'll go to extra lines like 4-on-4 or something like that, and we'll give him some playing time instead of... How good is Ragnarsson's faceoffs? And they're okay. Let's move Ragnarsson to the center spot, and like I said, we'll give some 4-on-4 time to Dempsey, just because Dempsey, to me, I think he could be a good Rookie of the Year candidate if he gets a lot of ice time, which we're not going to be able to right now, but he could get some more ice time eventually. That's where maybe trading away Sealfido would have made some sense. But right now, we're going to just hope that it's fine. Sealfido could end up being just a guy that goes to free agency instead of getting dealt, but he could also get dealt this season if Dempsey continues to grow or something like that. So with that said, let's simulate to the end of this first month and see how this team does in the month of October. First game of the season is a nice 2-1 victory. And there is a player on waivers. We do not need any depth defensemen at this stage, but yeah, he's pretty much just as good as some of the guys in the AHL for our team. Game against Vancouver coming up. Looks like we actually have some home games to start off the season, which is nice. And Knuble on waivers, another depth defenseman probably. Yeah, top 6 defenseman. We don't have any room for another guy like that. Vancouver. And more trade offers. Goddamn, man. Is going to be also a win 4-3. Carolina, 3-2 win. All of our wins so far only by 1 goal, but we are winning these games at least, so that's pretty good. And 5-0 to start the season. Final 2 games of October. Washington and New Jersey. Both wins as well. So 7-0 to start off the season. This team's still looking good despite getting rid of a couple decent-ish players. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, let's go one more month. Like I said, I don't want to simulate too much, but this team's off to a good start again, so we might as well continue simulating. I just want to make sure, obviously, that everybody's morale is okay on this team, though, too, because I don't want a morale crisis on this roster. Dempsey is losing morale because of ice time already, so we might have to look into some trades in the next episode. So I'll wait till the end of this month, but we might need to find a way to get Dempsey some more ice time, which is not great because I don't know who I would have to part with to get him more ice time. Maybe Cialfito, but then would that make us too weak? Not too sure. Definitely not as good of a month as of November as it was in October, but we are still above 500, so that's good. St. Louis is an OT win. Okay, Pittsburgh is a win, and Seattle to wrap up November is also a win, 9-2. So 15-6. So obviously very good in our first 21 games. That actually has us in first place in the Metropolitan Division at the moment. But we need to find ways to get guys more ice time on this roster. So that's a bit scary. Also, Nashville's doing really good so far, which is kind of funny. And Bjorkstrand's leading the team in points, as I see, for the Nashville Predators right now. So maybe that's what he needed, was a change of scenery. God damn, man, that's kind of sucks. All right, let's take a look at some player stats. And we might have to already look into some moves in the next episode just to get some people more ice time and all that. But as of right now, Cialfito's off to a really good start, obviously, because he's a pending UFA. He wants to get paid the big bucks. I feel like he's definitely going to be a casualty this offseason at this rate, but 28 points, 21 games. Makinen's off to a fantastic start, and same with Karain, all over point per game. Ragnarsson's also over point per game, so that's really good to see. Giordano's just under point per game. Houghton is on 18 points as a defenseman in 21 games. Goddamn. But we'll look at forwards only first. So it looks like our top six is doing most of the legwork, but Bigras is kind of a little bit slow. 13 points, but still decent. Ashton's come in and done well. Kazanov, Mishenko. Looks like for the most part, everybody's contributing decently. But yeah, we need to find a way to get Dempsey more ice time. Because he is losing a little bit of morale due to that ice time. So, got to find a way to get him up higher in the lineup. Ovechkin's only got one goal as a sniper, which is not very good. But he's not getting a lot of ice time either. He also needs more ice time. So we might have to make some more readjustments in that bottom six if we want to. Like getting Ovechkin and Dempsey more ice time would be good, but we'd have to find a way to move out from either guys like Mishenko, Kazanov, Ashton, Bigras. Oh man, or Cialfito even for that matter. Like cashing in on him would be a good idea, but I don't know for sure. So that's that. And then obviously we said defensively, Howden's off to a fantastic start. Holmstrom is off to an elite start. Not the craziest offensive numbers. I mean, 12 points in 21 games is good, but he's plus 15 so far at this point. So Holmstrom might have a breakout year, which means he might want more money this offseason. Tatar on 11 points. You have Schaefer on 11. Not too bad from the defenseman. How is Carlton doing in terms of morale? He's also losing morale. God damn, man. So we have a lot of players that might be losing morale due to ice time. So what do we do with that? So Carlton, Ovechkin, Dempsey. Those guys all need more ice time. I just don't know how to get it to them. But there's that. Goalies. Solovyov's actually off to one of his worst starts of his career, I think. An .890 save percentage through 21 games. And Komatov's only played the one game so far. We still have auto-rotate on, so I don't know what the heck's going on with that. But, yeah, Solovyov's not off to a really good start this year, which is kind of weird. Considering last year he was actually pretty decent, and in the playoffs he's been really good. So I don't know why he's dropping off like this, but he's got a good record. So it's kind of weird. Let's take a quick look at also stats around the league just for fun as well, even though we're early into the season. See where guys are. So Bjorkstrand's leading the league in points. I kind of figured that was the case. He must be playing next to Foy in Nashville. And not Sea-Doo. Must be Domingue or something? Yep, it's Domingue. So Domingue is playing on the top line with Bjorkstrand and Foy in Nashville. And they're doing very good. So maybe if Bjorkstrand had better supporting cast, he would have done good with us. Because 35 points in his first 22 games. He already has more points than he had a few years ago. When he only had 51 games played. So kind of a bit scared that Bjorkstrand might be the next player to leave this team and go on to win a Stanley Cup at this rate. Yikes. But we do have other guys up there in points still, like Cialfito, Makinen, so seems like it worked out well for both teams. And then defensively, best defenseman so far is McArdle in Montreal, but Howden is up there. Brophy's already a plus 24, goddamn. Might be hard for Howden to win a Norris when a guy's already a plus 24 in 21 games. And in goalies so far, most wins is Solovyov right now, but he doesn't have a good save percentage or goals against, which is kind of funny. So yeah, it's been a bit of a weird start to the season. Like, we're off to a good start, but our goaltending numbers aren't looking good. We're also having guys losing morale. So do we need to make any other changes before we continue simulating more of the season in next episode? Like, right now, according to the stats, we're the best offensive team in the regular season, but we're 21st in goals against, 13th on the power play, and 25th on the penalty kills. So the only good stat for us right now is our goals for per game. So we might have to make some sort of an adjustment as we go through the rest of the season next episode. But I don't know what we want to trade for. Like I said, if we're losing morale, we need to find ways to get people more ice time, which to get more ice time in that top 6 or top 9, I should say, for guys like Ovechkin and for the youngster in Dempsey, we'd have to part ways with somebody that's a winger, probably like Mashenko or Bigris even, for that matter. Bigris hasn't been showing me that he's a good top 6 forward, but there's got to be a way, man. And then defensively, getting Carlson more ice time is going to be really, really tough. So I'm almost debating about still moving on from him and giving a chance to Erzberg instead on that top 6 pairing. You know, Erzberg's another offensive defenseman. So, because I don't think I could get Carlton into that top 4 at all unless I moved on from Schaefer, which I'm not willing to do because we just signed him to a big deal recently. So yeah, we have decisions. Also, Tatar's a pending UFA, so maybe he's a guy that we could flip if we really wanted to. But Holmstrom and Howden as a top pairing won't work well because they're both OFDs. Goalies, I don't think we're going to make any adjustments because, I mean, we could, but I don't think it's necessary right now. So I honestly don't know what we need to do, but we need to find ways to get those guys more ice time, despite us being 15-6. Like, Ulnov shouldn't be scratched either, hypothetically, considering he's a 4th liner, so more people that might complain, which is not great. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of New York Islanders Franchise Mode. So in next episode, we might make some adjustments just to basically make the team a bit more happy. But right now, we're 15-6, despite only having like a good offense, apparently. So I'm hoping that obviously the team could find itself out in a defensive game, in a special teams game a bit more as we go on through the season. But I think this team obviously should be good enough to make it back to the playoffs. Are they going to be like the best team in the world once they get to the playoffs? I don't really know. But this could be one of our last big runs because this could also be the year that Sealfedo leaves the team if I decide not to trade him away. So sing down below, and I'll see you guys next time.